to second leading country with region, which is Southeast Asia. The death is kind of a linear forms correlated with positive correlation with age, and showing 53%, and in the Southeast Asia case almost 1.2 million dies before age 60. And third region is EU region, MENA, showing again very similar pattern, positively correlated with age, and showing 58%, almost 340,000, little more than 340,000 dies each year before age 60. And next follows by Western Pacific. Again, pattern is exactly the same except Africa. Africa is early deaths, very early deaths is occurring, but mostly it's occurring in a majority of them occurring before age 60, or with about 45%. You know, there's a more number of people living with diabetes in Western Pacific. Almost 2 million people dies age before 60. And South Central America, similar pattern with 43.25 million. North America and Caribbean, 48%, even though that region is the highest prevalence area with diabetes. And lowest region is Europe with 26%, but it's about 630,000. So still, you know, the early days is occurring in Europe region too. So what about diabetes and economy? You know, we estimate the facts based on Diabetes Atlas estimate of diabetes prevalence, United Nations population estimate, WHO annual health expenditure, WHO mortality rate, the ratio of healthcare expenditure for people with diabetes compared to the people without diabetes, and which indicate about 12% of global health expenditure is spent on diabetes, and 12% is not actually that much. So if you look at it overall, we're showing about 12%. Most spent in MENA region. They were surprising. MENA region spend more money than in other region with about 15%. Again, Africa is showing very low, about 7%, and SACA follows right after MENA. If you look at the number of cases I shared to you before, and the amount spent for the diabetes care, China is most number, but United States most money. But the China comes in second, and Egypt's number 8, and I don't see Egypt in top 10 health expenditure there. And if you look at the health care expenditure in international dollar, you could see most place with the light purple color and dark purple color, which indicating 400 million to I think it's 4 billion. It's cannot see from very close. So that's how much they are spending. But if you look at the Africa region, they're spending half of what other countries, other regions are spending. An estimate average of $1,622 US per person with diabetes was spent on diabetes-related health expenditure in 2015. So this slide depicts the total amount is spent per person each region. So you could see the Egypt spend 502,000 per year, and Australia case like more than 5,000, and Korea also spend more than 5,000, and United States, Europe spending most in health expenses related to the diabetes. So what we're seeing here is in 2015 we reported 415 million people living with diabetes. That expect to increase 55% by 2040, yelling number 642 million. However, if you look at the spending related to the diabetes care, we spent 673 total billion dollars in 2015, but 2040 the spending is increased only less than 20%, yielding about 802 billion. So we are underspending compared to the number of diabetes occurring. So another area I briefly want to touch on is global is estimated hypoglycemia in pregnancy. All of you know is gestational, referring to the gestational diabetes. All of you know the hypoglycemia is occurring during the pregnancy, and it can affect both mother and child with the potentially serious complications. And in birth complication, we know the greater than 4,000 gram, we indicated macrosomia, preeclampsia, and cesarean delivery, and lower limb deficiency. There's a lot of things related to it. Probably type my name, and then you've probably seen all those results in PubMed. So it is birth complication related. Also, this kid continued to grow to be very obese, and they develop, many of them showing the hypertension early age, also more percentage with metabolic syndrome, and IGT. Later, they are also high risk for developing diabetes. Mother's case also, they are high risk for diabetes, and if those women are diagnosed with B1 classification of GDM, 70–80% will develop diabetes within 7 years of postpartum period. So gestational diabetes actually brings a double burden to both mother and child. And this is some of the criteria we've been using. Is still a lot of countries using ADA and NDDG criteria, doing the 3-hour oral glucose tolerance test and fasting 105, 190, 61, 61, 45. Grade 2 of those values positive, they indicated they have a GDM. IADP-SG international group come up with some of criteria, but still, this is under the debate, so people still using, scientists using, clinicians using ADA and NDDG criteria currently. Study selection, I'm not going to go into detail, but we selected about 108 studies from 55 countries, which is all based on the report. And based on that, we found about 21 million of women with worldwide with experienced gestational diabetes. Of them, 85 is true gestational diabetes. About 7.4 is diabetes detected in pregnancies. They have diabetes, but they didn't know they have diabetes, but during the pregnancy they've been detected. And another 7.5% is diabetes detected prior to the pregnancy, so totaling about 21 million. So currently we estimated that 1 in 7 births is affected by gestational diabetes, and 16.2% of live births. So if you look at the overall pattern by the region, highest so in Southeast Asia, you all know that's because of the Indians case, they are Indians ethnically they are high risk for the gestational diabetes, and lowest showing in North America and SACA region. But in Southeast Asia, 6.7 million is highest. This is the highest prevalence with 32%, and the prevalence highest region shows about 26.3% with prevalence. But in gestational diabetes increase with age, so if 45 to 49-year-old women get pregnant, their risk for having a gestational diabetes more than 40%. But most frequently occurring in the young age group with the 25 to 29. But usually there was in the older age was risk factor, but now it's coming down to low age group to affecting gestational diabetes. So age-dependent prevalences are showing. So 50.2% cases of women aged in 2029, as is shown in previous slide. But the other half is occurring in 30 and older age groups. So regional figure shows that just in gestational diabetes case, 88% cases occurring in middle and low income countries, whereas only 12% is occurring in high income countries. So this is the conclusion slide showing that in 2015 IDF estimated that 1 in 11 adults has diabetes, 1 in 2 adults with diabetes underdiagnosed, 12% of the global health expenditure is spent on diabetes. 1 in 7 births is affected by gestational diabetes, and 542, a little over 500,000 children have type 1 diabetes, and 5 million people died from diabetes. Every 2 seconds, we have 1 new diabetes cases. And to make a conclusion, there's no disease has impacted human life stronger than diabetes, and costs are greater than any other disease, threaten more life than any other disease. Diabetes is currently unstoppable. So, I have no, if you ask me a question, what can you do about it? Honestly, I don't know. IDF doesn't have an answer to this either. So we are brainstorming to try to find a solution for this. And early diagnosis and management is the probably best remedy to managing diabetes. Thank you very much for your attention.